Welcome to the Sickflix. We're the Demsicks, and we love talking about movies. Today we're going to review movies and say whether we think it's a sick flick or a Demsick classic. Today we're talking about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is a movie that's supposed to be about Steve Jobs, the creator of Apple and Apple Company.
Somebody's bias is creeping into the synopsis here.
Okay, let me see how I really feel. Steve Jobs is a character assassination film about Steve Jobs.
Come on. Now.
So we're going to talk about whether we think it's a sick flick and why, starting with John Peter.
John Peter.
It was boring.
What?
Oh my.
It was.
That's ridiculous.
I had a moment where there's a lot of yelling and arguing, and it's just loud the entire movie, but it was still
like
boring.
our family.
But it was still boring, and that was the whole movie.
So that's it. That's all.
Yeah,
you
that's like
not
boring.
I can't think of one thing positive to say about it.
Good actors. There's good acting.
Good acting.
Good acting.
Okay, good acting. Did you think Fassbender did a good job?
Yeah.
What about
He just,
Stolberg, the Andy guy?
Yeah, they all did good jobs, but also it wasn't
Good jobs. But
So
only
the
one of them was
actor-
supposed to be
yeah,
playing
only one of them was
Jobs.
supposed to be doing jobs.
The guy that
Yeah,
played
Jobs.
was his name?
Seth
Rogen.
Seth Rogen. So he was pretty solid too.
Yeah, they were all solid, I guess, but
He wasn't literally solid.
Well, he was actually smaller than what Steve was.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he should have.
He should have gained more
Should've cut
fat.
John.
I mean,
know.
it's not like it was
It's like
it's not like it's hard for that guy to
I
gain
know.
weight.
Seriously,
you know?
that's his area. He should have
Yeah.
method acted that one.
That's
He went
right.
all over that. You think.
Yeah, but
Okay, so acting was the bright spot in a very dim, boring universe, according to you.
all right.
I loved Kate Winslet's accent. Thought she did a great job.
I didn't realize it was Kate Winslet. It was so good.
She did an
Until after
She
incredible
was
job.
good. Yeah,
I
I
didn't
took me
realize
a
it
little
was her.
while to realize that was Caitlin Winslet.
She was really solid.
5 seconds at least.
Michael Fassbender did a great job. Not as impressive with the accent. Still very much sounded like Michael Fassbender, but that's okay. I also thought it was extremely boring, so I didn't really enjoy it that much.
Wow.
But yeah, solid
Boring.
acting. I think that
I didn't expect
it was a
that.
good cast. It's not their fault. It was boring.
Okay, so I have a much different take on the movie. I
Okay,
thought it was
Robert.
very exciting and fast-paced. I would definitely say
Fast.
yes.
Fast. In fact, it was a fast bender.
Fassbender. No, it's very intense. Even in the
Okay.
parts that some people might seem slow, they keep the kind of intense music subtly going in the background to kind of feel like it keeps moving. And I always like that about
tricky.
Aaron Sorkin
Yeah.
films.
Yeah.
It's in kind of all the Aaron Sorkin movies. I will say the writer of the movie, I already was sort of expecting to like it or trying to like it because he is my favorite screenwriter, Aaron Sorkin, who wrote A Few Good Men and
It was really
Moneyball
an
and
interesting
Social
challenge
Network.
that he tried to write a film about a person's life, but not have it be a biopic film.
Right, yeah, and he definitely did not want it to be a biopic. He said that, and also he was widely criticized for portraying Steve Jobs in a slightly negative light. I do think the portrayal was actually very fair and not negative. You have a guy who did a lot of really horrible things in his life, but also did some things that were really nice. So you have to kind of I love. Well, there's two things that I loved about the movie the most. One was the sort of Hitchcock in way that it was done. The fact that
When Hitchcock and Ian
made
made a film together.
Okay, like Alfred Hitchcock did in like The Rope with Jimmy Stewart. The whole movie was kind of shot in one room, and also sort of replicated
Almost one take. It was every 10-minute takes. Yeah, it's
And,
very. Rope is definitely a film that you should check out. by the way,
excellent movie.
instead of Steve Jobs.
But no, Steve Jobs in a similar way. I felt like what they did was he wrote the whole guy's whole life story, and he tried to do it all in the pre.
It's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, it was a really neat concept, and that's what made me fall in love with it, was the fact that all of his life was revealed in the pre-shows, when he was going to reveal the Apple II, or when he was going to reveal the Macintosh, or reveal the iMac, each different show, everything was sort of pre-show, and I really liked that sort of Hitchcock quality to the movie. And then the other thing that I absolutely loved about it was the transitions. They had excellent transitions.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first transition that I loved, if you like the Christmas Carol films, films. Our family is a big family on all the different versions of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
But my favorite version, and I love the Muppets version. I love the
Clearly the best.
Albert Finley musical, the old one.
Yeah.
But my favorite
I like
one,
life.
and not all our family feels the same way, but my favorite one is the George C. Scott. George C.
hard.
Scott is my absolute favorite.
It's hard to beat.
And
Scott.
there's one part in the George C. Scott that's one of the best transitions in any movie, where they're saying, when they're playing the trivia game, at the nephew's house, and they're like, tight as a drum, and they're like, silent as, and he's like, ooh, I know, the grave, and then it goes, and then it's totally cut scene to like the black and the wind.
Very well done.
Well, they do something similar in this movie. A lot of the transitions are good. But
that's actually from the Dickens book, by the way. And it does the similar as the grave, and then it goes.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure, actually. I've read it, but
I didn't know that. But
yeah,
I love the part in the beginning of the movie when the daughter is trying to think of the song and what the two different versions of the song, and she says regrettable, and then hugs him and's like, I want to live with you, and that transition to the next scene was so powerful. I knew this is going to be a really emotional experience.
I do feel like it was more. I know it's your turn. I do feel like it was more the story of a father and daughter, more than it was like a story about Steve Jobs. It was just a story of a father and.
It's her story. Like, she basically wrote the whole movie. It came from her book.
Well, that definitely shows.
It's not her book. No, she didn't write a book.
But she was on
Steve
set
Jobs
the whole
book.
time.
No, she was on set. She was one of the people.
She was the main consultant.
Actually, one of the main consultants was his ex-wife. That was the mother of that girl that had the most negative opinion of Steve Jobs
and the daughter.
Of
so it was mainly the daughter's perspective.
But the book that it was based on was a book that it had interviews with Steve Jobs, but he also had interviews with Steve Wozniak and the guy Scully, who was the Pepsi marketing guy before he worked for Apple.
Right.
Anyway.
Scully didn't actually look that great in the movie. He looked about okay.
No, yeah, well, it's a hard character to make look good, especially when Jeff Daniels playing him.
Yeah, no, Jeff Daniels.
Gobbleneck,
we know we like Jeff Daniels, but I know he's not your favorite.
He's not my favorite human being.
A nice guy. He doesn't play a nice guy.
No, he does not play a nice.
He didn't look nice in this movie.
No, he did not. Yeah.
The best acting performance, though, I did feel like the strongest out of everyone was Stolberg. Was amazing. He had a smaller role, but he played the Andy character, the guy that was a little overweight.
Yeah, he was good.
That was a solid, really performance.
Fairly
and
good
probably
job.
Looked like the best person in the movie. But also, I did.
Yeah.
I think Wozniak, you gotta get more hair. Like, have you
more
ever seen
hair and more
Wozniak
fat, more
talk?
of everything?
His hair is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what, if I was the director, I would be like, Seth,
more
everything.
Like, that hair goes everywhere. Now, I felt like his insistence on doing the right thing, what he felt was the right thing, was excellent. Like, the way he sort of was not willing to back down, very true to Wozniak. Wozniak was a Berkeley professor who had this sort of, I'm going to confront you when I think you're doing the wrong thing.
I don't know if he was a professor.
Yeah, no, he was a professor at Berkeley for years. Okay. Yeah, taught computer science there. Very popular with the students. He might have been an assistant professor, but he still taught classes.
Assistant professor.
That's the same. That's just a professor that doesn't have tenure.
Okay. Anyway, I thought the film was enjoyable if I tried to pretend like this was a fiction, because it is. It was a play, so I thought it was interesting because when I watched it, I didn't really look into it before. I just watched the film and then I look into it afterwards of the director and the behind the scenes stuff. And I could tell, okay, he was making a 3-act play. It was very clearly a 3-act play. And I think there's actually extra meaning behind the fact that he always had it be a pre-show till the next big event.
Right.
It was kind of a statement of this guy was always looking for the next thing and it never quite got there for him in his life. He is clearly a guy who has a very negative impression of Steve Jobs. I don't
agree.
One of the things that was hard for me is
the end he made Steve Jobs look great. It was a character.
Oh no, it was horrible.
He gave him character arc.
But
he made him terrible in the beginning, and by the end he said he's this guy who gives this benefactor to the masses, and he actually repairs the relationship with his daughter.
Okay,
he gave him arc.
If
you had to make it a little fiction to make a story actually have some arc to the main character. Okay,
if you would use 2 words to describe Steve Jobs, what would those two words be?
Well, from the movie, probably maybe a-hole.
And that's not a character assassination. That is totally a character assassination film.
Well, he did some pretty horrible stuff in his life.
How about humanitarian? You hippie. Yes, driven, but driven humanitarian would I think be the two words that describe Steve Jobs.
Have you watched any of the other Steve Jobs movies, like Ashton
Yeah,
Kutcher
I watched the
ones?
Ashton Kutcher one. This was way better
I don't
acted,
feel like this
better
made
written.
him look any worse than
Oh,
those.
I definitely think it made him look much worse. And I thought that was an overly negative. Now, he was driven, so he could be harsh with people when he thought he wasn't getting what was best. But you got to understand that his whole vision, and it didn't come across in the movie at all, was changing the world to make it a better place, to help people. He didn't care about making money. He didn't care about being right. He cared about changing the world by making it a better place.
That did actually come
through his
You know,
products.
they talked about that parts about the
Dr.
conductor
Doom.
of the orchestra.
He was
You know,
Dr. Doom, a very likable,
Yeah, but they did
wonderful
that. They totally
man.
addressed that. The analogy was the orchestra. He was the conductor. He played the music, so he wasn't the inventor.
Yeah.
He wasn't this.
Well, and that was
They
taken
talked
from,
about
that was one of the things taken, I think, directly from the book. So there were elements of some of that story that's true, but all of the things were either a negative exaggeration or a fictitious representation of a guy that I felt, okay, so Orkin said, when he was trying to kill the whale, he said that it's more of a painting than a picture.
Is this the Exterminator? The Orchid
No,
Man?
the Orchid Man. That's right. Yeah.
Exterminator?
I was making a dolphin.
Trying to kill a very large bug.
Anyway.
Okay.
So Orkin, he said, when he was going in to exterminate the cockroaches, he said, it's a painting, not a picture. My thing is, a painting is a deeper reflection on the true heart of the man that this didn't have. The light, this was only the shadow of the man. This is only the dark.
Sorkin. You mean Aaron Sorkin?
Oh, that's the one.
That's
Sorkin.
I was like, who's Orkin? I was like, are you quoting some famous author? I don't know who they are.
Yeah, it was Sorkin.
Sorkin.
Now,
okay.
what I will say about the film,
Yeah.
outside from the fictional element of
One of
it,
his close friends also criticized the film and said that a lot of the negative things that were in the movie were true about him, but he did when he was young and immature. And my feeling was when I read that, it's like, well, that's the part that you need to make movies about. The part when people are young and immature. That's what makes a great film.
Yeah,
great
it's interesting.
story.
It's an interesting choice, though, of a man who made such a positive impact on the world that we're all using his devices as we're making a film mocking him.
Yeah.
It's a little unfair of a guy who just died to make a film.
Fair.
It's very. I mean, Tim Cook, the
I feel
CEO
like
of Apple,
said
said
by the end.
he said that the problem with the film is it's very opportunistic. He's taking advantage of Apple's success right now and the interest in Steve Jobs, while the fact that he just died, to make a film making Steve Jobs look bad.
Well, I don't know.
Steve Jobs specifically said, I don't think so. Steve Jobs specifically said his biggest regret in life is how he handled his daughter's situation when he was younger, which he tried to make up for later in life.
And he did in the film. He fixed it.
Okay, but my point is they made a film centered on Steve Jobs' biggest regret in life.
Fair. That's fair.
Instead of Steve Jobs' biggest success in life, which makes a lot more sense. It's like this. It's like if I made a film about Martin Luther King Jr., but it only had it about his adulteries that he had on way to marches. That's not a good film. It's not a good film to make.
But then they also included.
I'm going to make. How would people feel?
The sort of the ending and the fact that all the stuff that he did was in the end. Was by the end.
Yeah. So
let's
you have
other people.
You have.
What is John Peter and Kate? Let's let some other voices weigh in.
I'm just saying.
We've already talked about
Yeah.
You have.
We went on.
We know how Richard and I think. Wait, can you just go ahead and weigh in real quickly on the debate portion?
Well, just real quick, you also brought up the other day when we saw it was how he just reacts like he's removed from human.
Yeah, that was another thing that's weird.
From like emotions.
Yeah.
But like when that wasn't him.
He was pretty Asperger-esque.
He's not an Asperger guy. He's not an engineer guy.
He did seem like an overly that's
Wozniak.
That would be Wozniak.
Yeah, that would be Wozniak.
Okay.
So like, at this point, his daughter hugs him, and he's like, "What is this human interaction of
Yeah.
hugging things? What am I supposed to do with
that's
this?"
Fair. That's a fair.
Which isn't
there was a little
Steve
of that.
Jobs.
He seems very.
He's very emotional. He's a guy who cried all the time.
very animatronic.
He's a very
Yeah,
emotionally driven, attached guy.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kate? Any
I don't have a
opinions?
lot to add. I mean, I agree with most of what's been said, and yeah, I don't have.
What's I agree with
Nothing that I've
I
said.
agree with what 3 out of 4 Demsicks have been saying
Wow.
in this discussion.
No, I
do
agree
think
with
this is
Richard.
probably the best movie of 2015, possibly of the last 3 or 4 years.
I definitely don't agree with that.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are. You never
That's
know.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah. Well, and I don't think it's a bad film. I
Yeah.
really don't. I haven't actually talked about how I feel really about the film
Well, that's
much
all
at
I
all.
care about.
I think it
you're
was
caring too
well.
much about whether it's actually real or not, which is totally fiction.
Well, it's hard when you have a guy like Steve
Well,
Jobs.
it's called
Steve Jobs.
I was expecting it to be
Right.
a movie
And
about
they made it
Steve
really
Jobs.
clear that all the events that were portrayed were just manufactured to get across a certain view of
Yeah.
and a certain story of his life.
But it's hard to separate the fact that it's supposed to be based on a true story. It's like,
Yeah.
again, if I
Well-
wrote a film about Martin Luther King Jr., portraying him as an adultering, angry, mean guy, and
who
not
then turned
and
into
who-
an awesome
who
person
then-
by the end.
who then made a speech at the end
Even
about
though
having a
Tony
Basically
dream.
Basically
saved all of
Yeah.
civil rights and changed the world
The
by
movie
the end.
kind of ends
Yeah.
before he really
Yeah,
starts.
did you guys miss the end?
No, he
No.
has the good conversation with his daughter, and he does these things, but then he just walks on stage. Like, it doesn't really go into anything. Like, those could have been empty promises to
And
his
then they
daughter.
put-
We never saw anything
Yeah,
after
it's
that.
true.
Well, but the way the music portrays that
It was
was
very
a
great.
conclusion.
It was emotional,
Yeah, it was-
There was
happy.
an excellent
Music.
song at the end, and then when
Yeah.
the credits rolled, they transitioned into Bob
But I mean,
Dylan,
they never
"Shelter from
showed
the
it.
Storm," which is one of the excellent credit rolling. Also
That's
done
your
Jerry
favorite
Maguire.
Bob Dylan
Well,
song. You're
One of
biased.
my,
Let me
not
say,
mine, one of my
say,
favorites.
I thought the movie was well directed. I thought it had some really interesting elements, like when the guy's in the
Steve
hallway
Jobs would have liked the ending, I think,
and
with the Bob Dylan coming in.
Steve Jobs is talking, and then there's just in that wall a projection of something representing what he's saying, like that kind of thing. I thought that was really interesting, and I did not agree with these two
About it being boring.
about it being boring. I didn't
Yeah.
find it boring at all. I did think that what he was trying to do on a film level, what he was trying to do was very bold, really interesting. Glad he did it, but I don't think it
Not going to
works.
hurt movies.
Not going to hurt movies.
No,
Yeah,
it's excellent.
The
He's very
3-act
creative.
play.
Yeah.
I admire him for taking a very different idea at a biopic. I don't think it's the new model. I don't think it made a masterpiece. I think it made
Well, it's an old model.
very
it's sort of Hitchcock's
interesting
model.
Well, I'm saying in terms of it is in some ways, but in terms of it being representing a person's life as a painting, I just think he failed at it because he didn't really represent the guy.
Conspiracy. Did you ever see the movie Conspiracy with the Nazis? That was also
No, I haven't
all
seen it.
shot in one room, revolved around just the one meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Excellent movie.
yeah,
Same Hitchcock model.
yeah. So on a lot of elements, I liked it. I overall would say very watchable. I'd recommend it.
Oh, okay. So watchable, but you're not going to say.
I'm not gonna give it a sick flick.
Okay.
I think that
Surprise,
it's
surprise.
borderline. I think it's
Oh.
borderline.
So movie-wise, if you just throw out whether
Movie-wise-
it's true or not.
It's definitely not true. It's definitely not who Steve Jobs was. Because
Well,
again,
it's definitely not true, but it might be who he was.
no, he definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't. You gotta understand,
Okay.
this guy was an
Agree to disagree.
emotional, loving attachment guy who got angry. He's a guy with a temper.
Fair.
But he was a guy who was very compassionate and cared a lot about people.
I
and
think
had
that came
a lot of
through.
human
Compassionate
connections.
with a temper.
Not robot, daughter, don't know how to hug, cannot compute.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism.
That's more Steve Wozniak.
Okay, let's
So-
go ahead. So you said that already.
Not sick. Of
Yeah,
course. It's
Figured.
yeah.
Not even watchable for you. Or not even recommended to watch.
Not really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Kate.
Same.
Don't go to the theater then anytime
I would not
soon.
go to the theater.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah,
if
definitely not
it
pay for
shows up on Netflix eventually, you can watch it. But yeah, I wouldn't.
Can we?
No, I meant don't go to the theater at all. Like, you're not gonna like
Oh.
plays if you don't like this movie.
Could we say? Have you seen the other Steve Jobs film?
I have not.
Ashton
I've
Kutcher?
Actually.
seen Jobs.
Okay,
That was
Jobs.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
Jobs with Ashton.
Better or worse?
Better,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
but like,
But
No.
it's hard to not beat Ashton Kutcher. It's like,
I actually really liked that movie too. But
oh, see, I didn't.
I'm not an Ashton Kutcher
I thought it was okay.
Are you gonna?
Not sick.
So not sick. So definitely for me, sick flick.
All right.
One out
I
of 4.
loved it. Absolutely. I think excellent movie, future classic. I'm going to see it again
Good class.
today in the theater. It's one of my favorite movies I've seen in a long time. I'm probably going to watch it hundreds of times. I would say it's A Few Good Men. You know,
Wow.
it's not up there with A Few Good Men, but it is it's another Eric Sorkin. I'd say it's up there with Moneyball and with The Social Network and Charlie Wilson's War. Who all 3 of those I loved.
All right. Well,
Malice was 1 degree down. Malice, not quite as good.
So, what do you think? Leave in the comments. Do you agree with Robert? Is it a total sick flick, awesome classic masterpiece? Do you agree with me?
Go Sorkin, go team, go!
Not accurate, but interesting and watchable, well done. Or do you agree with these two? Kind of a bore. Snooze
fest for them.
Yeah. Snooze fest. Let us know. That's Steve Jobs, 1 out of 4 sick flicks. Like and subscribe.